Military Bowl, East Carolina and NC State. We've got NC State 5.5-point favorites, 58.5 being the total here for this one. Gosh, East Carolina was a bit of a moneymaker for me down the stretch. There's no doubt. And then, of course, all of that was the players played their butts off to get Blake Harrell to be the permanent head coach after he was the interim head coach. They ripped off 4 wins, albeit, look, the one thing you got to be careful with the East Carolina resurgence is the wins were against Temple, Florida Atlantic, who had a brutal year and fired Tom Herman. Tulsa, brutal season. North Texas, very weak defense. Then they played Navy and they lost 34-20. But that was after they named Blake Harrell the permanent head coach. And I figured they lost their edge a little bit. They played their ass off to try to get him the permanent job. And then once he was named permanent head coach, they have their worst game since the coaching change when they fired Mike Houston after the Army game when they lost 34-20 to Navy. That being said, they definitely found something on offense. They were a lot more explosive. They were able to put up points in pretty impressive fashion. Turning to Caton Hauser at quarterback made all the difference in the world. And all of a sudden, the offense starts to percolate here for them down the stretch. Meanwhile, for NC State, how excited are they? Because they had the big win against their rival, North Carolina, 35-30, that final regular season game. C.J. Bailey has come a long way. That I will say, give him credit for it. C.J. Bailey's really improved after he took over from, of course, injured and then retired. I'm blanking on his name. The guy from the transfer from Coastal Carolina. Shit. Blanking on his name. But anyway, C.J. Bailey, took over from him. And certainly from that point on, Grayson McCall, there we go, who was injured and then retired during the season. But yeah, C.J. Bailey took over, and it was rough early. He said, this guy has no business being quarterback the way he's playing. But he really got better down the stretch, played some really good football. They put up a huge 59 against Stanford. It's not as good against Duke. Duke's got a pretty solid defense. I thought he played well in a loss to Georgia Tech. They could have won that game. They probably should have beat Georgia Tech in that game. Lost 30-29, and then they put up the 35 points against North Carolina. He had 242 passing yards. Smothers ran the ball well. Collins and Concepcion, the receivers, have stepped up, have gained better chemistry with NC State. So I definitely like over in this game. And this is not the same NC State defense this year either. Nowhere close to as good on that side of the football under Dave Doran. They gave up 30 to North Carolina, 30 to Georgia Tech, 29 to Duke, 28 to Stanford. I mean, they gave up 28 plus 4 straight games to finish the season. And this is a much better East Carolina offense that we saw down the stretch. So I definitely like the over. We'll see with NC State how enthusiastic they are. It looks like for East Carolina, it's going to be mostly on all hands on deck. Winston Wright, there was thought he might transfer, but he hasn't yet. And as of now, he's playing. That's huge. That's their best receiver. And then meanwhile, for NC State, Concepcion is in the transfer portal for them. Will he play? We'll have to wait and see. But as of now, you lean no with these guys that are in the portal. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'm still leaning ECU plus the points. I think I like the over, though, even more. In this game here in the Military Bowl. ECU in the over for me if I get involved in it. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I think East Carolina should be pretty good to go. I mean, I just see their wide receiver out here. That's about it. Maybe a linebacker or two. Yeah, they kind of ran into Navy after that game and struggled. You know what I love about these two teams? This is a pretty good rivalry and a good rivalry game normally. They haven't played since, 2022? That was 21-20. I think we get points in this game, but I think this game is close. You can't trust really both of the defenses weren't really good. Some of the better NC State teams back in the past had blown them out, but ECU had beat them plenty when their football team was a lot better the last 10, 15 years ago, and some really, really close games. So I think you take the points here with ECU. I think there's plenty of motivation. They want to go and beat up on the Wolfpack team, and plenty of points. That's it for me here.